Hello everyone, my name is Nitesh Verma. I'm a management consultant. I work with startups and IT and BPO companies, helping them with their product strategies, business strategies, and transformation efforts. Now when we talk about business strategy, one thing is something which is very important, that is analyzing and understanding customer behavior. So how would a customer react to your product? How would a customer react to your service? And what impact would a competitor or competition have when they introduce either a new product or they innovate their existing product or service? So this has always been a challenge for business owners, analysts, and anybody who tries to develop a product or innovate a product. Because customer requirements, what we normally call in our terms voice of customer, is always hazy. It's very vague. Customers are not always very clear about what they exactly want from a product or from a service. They would not exactly describe or explain what is that delights them or what is that is a must-be feature in a product or in a service. Now, to analyze customer needs, Professor Noriaki Kano from Japan introduced what we call the Kano model. Professor Kano was an astute student of Dr. Ishikawa. If you've heard about the Ishikawa diagram, that's another way to relate what would cause problems or what affects a particular feature. Ishikawa diagram is also known as the cause and effect diagram or the fishbone analysis, if you would have heard about that. But today we'll talk about Kano model. Kano model is all about understanding and analyzing how to delight your customer. So as I said earlier, customer needs keep changing. The needs always keep evolving. Now there could be n reasons for that. One, customer behavior itself changes. Once they've been using a product over and over again for a period of time, they would require more features in it. They get used to what would have been a surprise feature when you would have launched the product. So now they want something new. And that is what makes you continuously improve and develop your product. Now here I have put an example for how the music industry and products have evolved over a period of years. So if you remember earlier, maybe your grandparents or even earlier, we used to have records, music records. Now they are being restored and preserved because no longer in use. So from music records, we moved over to cassette players and Walkman. Then came the iPod generation. We had those MP3 players, iPods, and now we even have the Blu-ray discs that have redefined the storage capacity and the quality of the audio and the music that we receive. So the music industry has evolved over the years. One, the manufacturers may have felt that, okay, developing and innovating on these products, introducing new technology may help them stay competitive, and also it was aided by demands of the consumer because they got used to a product and now they wanted something more exciting, something more portable, something more affordable. And that make us look at what a product is, how is it paired up against what we may feel is the direct competition to us. And that's when we introduce new features after analyzing what is that our customer segment would require from the product or service that we provide them. And this is where Kano model is a structured tool, a very scientific tool that helps us break down customer requirements and the needs into measurable categories that help us devise action plans and understand how much to invest in improving what feature and to what extent. So we'll come to that in some time. Now, how does a company analyze and understand customer needs? As I said earlier, what delights customer and what are their basic needs? Now, both these questions, what is the delighter and what is that you must have in a product, something that your product really cannot function without, would depend upon your customer segment. Are you into the premium market? Are you into the mass segment? So who are you catering to? And what is that the customers have been used to? So what is that they could expect as the next step of improvement? As I said, Kano model is a powerful and structured technique to address changing customer needs and satisfaction. So what's most important here is Kano model is a very structured technique. It's very scientific. It's got the rules and the process of how you move on from hazy and vague customer requirements to a set of categories that can be measured and that you can base your product or business strategy upon. So brief about Professor Noriaki Kano. As I said, Mr. Kano was a student of Dr. Ishikawa. So he developed the Kano model in 1984 from Tokyo Rika University. So he and his team together developed the entire model. He developed a set of ideas for planning a product, service or process. So irrespective of you are in the manufacturing sector, you are in the service sector, or any business process that you monitor or you maintain, this is a model that is going to help you understand and analyze your customers. So the model helps in listing potential customer needs that the product, service or process should perhaps try to satisfy. So now what is Kano's theory? Now Professor Kano observed that for some customer requirements, customer satisfaction is proportional to the extent to which the product or service is fully functional. Now what does this mean is that there might be a product feature. Now as in when you improve the feature, you add more and more into it, the customer satisfaction is directly proportional to it. So if that feature is removed completely, your customer is obviously going to be dissatisfied. And as in when you increase the feature, that improves and increases the customer experience, the customer satisfaction, and also you would call the customer loyalty towards your brand. An example to this would be when you walk into a hotel room. You expect the hotel room to be clean. You expect to have a bed in there. Now that's a must-be requirement. You cannot have a great welcome at the reception. You cannot have great food in the restaurant. You cannot have hot water in the bathroom without a bed or without cleanliness in the hotel room. So all those might be the additional features, but a cleanliness and a comfortable bed is what is a must-be requirement when you talk about a hotel or a restaurant service. Similarly, if you talk about food, taste is something which is directly proportional to how satisfied would you be as a customer when you go to a restaurant or you order food. So these are must-be requirements. Now again, Kano observed that apart from this, what he calls as delighters. So what are the features that would delight a customer apart from what we say is the must-be requirements, right? So now if, in terms of the hotel example, again, as we said, cleanliness and a comfortable bed are the must-be requirements. But a welcome drink could be what is a delighter for some customers. So once you walk into a hotel, if you're offered a complimentary welcome drink, it's a delighter for you. You would like that. You would commend that. And you would even recommend that to your friends who would be traveling to the same city or the same location or the same country. So while cleanliness and a comfortable bed, good food, good air conditioning might have been the must-be requirements, something as simple and comparatively cheap like a welcome complimentary drink was a delighter for you when you first walked into the hotel or the room. But now take it a bit further. Suppose you've been visiting the same hotel or the group of hotels where every time you get into the room, every time you check in, you're offered that complimentary welcome drink. So the first time, the second time, or maybe the third time, the drink was a delighter for you. The next few times, it really made you happy. But over a period of time, what happened is that you started expecting the welcome drink to be always there. And when it was not there, that dissatisfied you. You walk into a different hotel and they do not have the same service. They have everything that is required, a good bed, cleanliness, food, air conditioning, but they do not have that welcome complimentary drink or food for you. Now that dissatisfies you. So what at one point of time for you as a new customer was a delighter, something that excited you, something that made you recommend the hotel and the service to your friends, to your colleagues, now has become a must-be requirement. So much so that the absence of that feature now dissatisfies you. Now that is the essence of the Kano model. What it says, it observes is that something that you introduce as an exciting feature, as a surprise, as a delighter, over a period of time would transition into a must-be requirement. So when you plan to add a delighter to your product, when you plan to surprise your customer with a new offer, with an additional feature, you've got to keep in mind that you will have to sustain that over a period of time till you introduce something completely different, which can again excite your customer. Because your competition is going to follow you. Once they get to know that, okay, this feature that you've introduced excites your customer, wins you more customers, wins you good customer reviews, they're going to follow your steps. They're going to introduce the same feature and may even go a step further. So that feature which you today are boasting about and you think is really exciting your customers, over a period of time becomes a must-be requirement, and the absence would really irritate your customers. So how do you manage that? So in that sense, the Kano theory, the Kano model, the entire analysis and the structure becomes an ongoing exercise, which you have to do it again and again and again. Now coming to why do we need the Kano model? I've already mentioned a few points of how your competition can overtake you, how the customer gets used to what you offer as an excitement, but what really is the need of the Kano model? So as I said, voice of the customer is usually hazy and customer needs are not very clear. A customer would not always express his interests, his needs in very clear measurable terms. He would just mention what he likes. Very rarely would a customer mention a feature that he dislikes, because he expects you as a business to understand what irritates him and what is a basic quality that a product must have. And even when he mentions what is that he really likes, it would not be very clear. And again, whatever is expressed would depend upon every customer. Not every customer who uses your product or uses your service would be very happy with the same feature. Their needs differ, their demands differ, and the way you address them would also differ. Customer ideas about quality are often confused and difficult to see clearly. One more reason why you would need a structured technique to understand these ideas of how a customer would perceive quality in your service. How would the customer perceive that what is he really willing to pay for your service? How would a customer describe value for money for your product and service? So Kano model helps categorize invisible and hazy customer needs. That's where it helps us. What was hazy for us? What was really invisible? And we were confused in terms of what feature should we really invest in improving, adding, introducing. Kano model and theory helps us categorize those customer needs. So as it makes customer ideas about quality clear, many requirements emerge and they fall into several groups. So what are these categories? What are these groups? And how do you address them? That's what we are going to talk about in this presentation. Now again, we have an example of customer requirements. Now this is an example for an automobile manufacturer, a car manufacturer. So these could be a few qualities that a customer would look into a car when he goes to purchase or when he's trying to research into which car, which model, which make suits his requirements and needs. So he may talk about fuel mileage, he may talk about the brakes quality, what is the warranty period, the windshield, even the turning radius, engine cooling system. A customer who is more educated, more into technology, he would talk about a cooling system as well. An electronic door locker, that's a must in cars today. The rear window wiper, not every product does really have this. And then the retractable radio antenna. These are some quality features that a car customer would really want in his car that he's going to purchase. But as a manufacturer, which of these qualities are you really willing to develop and invest? And if you really plan to, how much do you want to invest in terms of time, resources, and money? So as you would look into all these features, this would depend upon what is the segment that you are catering to. Is it the middle class? Is it the working class? Are the students the main customers for you? Or are these the high net individuals who would really want expensive cars? That would make you determine what feature should you really have in the automobile that you manufacture. Because having all these features and having the best of all these features would make the price of your car skyrocket, which maybe your customer segment is not willing to pay. Maybe someone who is primarily looking for fuel mileage might not really want an electronic door locker. He might not really want a rear window wiper. He may not really look into a 5-year warranty period, because anyways your car's after sales and service is affordable to him. So which of these features really want to invest time in and resources in would depend upon what your customer demands and what is that your competition is offering at the same price or maybe a fraction higher price to the same customer segment. So now, as I said, Kano model helps you categorize hazy and invisible customer needs into various categories. So Kano model addresses 3 types of customer requirements. These are 3 broad customer requirements that it helps us address for any product or any service. Satisfying basic needs. Now these are needs that you must have in your product. Like we speak about cleanliness in a hotel room, taste in the food, it has to be in their product. This allows a company to get into the market. So you cannot really launch a product or a service without addressing what is the basic need of a customer. Then we move on to satisfying performance needs. Performance needs make your product competitive in the market. It allows a company to sustain and remain competitive. These are the features of a product which you improve, and that directly correlates to your customer satisfaction. If you improve the taste, the customer satisfaction would improve. So as much you improve the taste of the food or the look of the food, the feel of the food or the room or the car, it's directly proportional to how satisfied would your customer be. And then coming on to what I said are the surprising features, the delighters, satisfying excitement needs. This allows a company to excel and be world class. So talk about Google, talk about Apple, they have delighted the customers. For example, in technology would be Flickr. If you remember Flickr, if you've used Flickr a couple of years ago, as soon as you would type in flickr.com on your browser, based on your previous browsing history, based on your account history, based on your contacts, Flickr would load a customized home page on your screen. This feature a couple of years ago was unheard of. You never had to sign into Flickr. Only typing flickr.com on your browser would give you a customized home page and would have photographs what you've uploaded, photographs from what your contacts have uploaded or what they've been liking on the internet. So that was a customized home page. That was a delight for me or for any customer when you would go to flickr.com. Now, almost all such companies, almost all such networking sites follow the same rule. They give you customized home pages. They even let you customize the home page or the entire screen or the entire experience. So what 2 years ago was a delighting factor, an exciting need, today is something that you would expect when you would sign into a new service. When you sign into a new social site, you would expect it to have a customizing home page feature in it. So the satisfying need, as Kano would have predicted, has now transitioned into a must-be requirement for users of social networking sites. So these are 3 categories: the must-be requirements, which your product must have; the satisfying performance needs, features that are directly proportional to your customer satisfaction; and features that excite the customers, that delight the customers, and that help you go that one notch above your competition. So this is the snapshot of the Kano model. It can be represented across 2 axes, the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. The horizontal axis is the degree of achievement or the functionality of the product. So this would tell you which feature in your product is fully functional or is somewhere midway or is not present in your product. So this is the axis that represents how functional or how close to fulfillment is the feature of your product, the degree of achievement. The vertical axis is the customer satisfaction. That tells you how satisfied a customer is. So someone at the bottom of the axis is a dissatisfied customer. Somewhere at the middle is a neutral customer, and someone who's right at the top is a satisfied customer. So those 3 categories of must-be requirements, performance needs and exciting needs help you reach the customer satisfaction level with minimum investment in terms of times and resources, and identifying how functional your product has to be to get that customer satisfaction. So talking first about the must-be requirements. As said earlier, must-be requirements are the expected quality that's implied, self-evident, not expressed. A customer does not really have to say that he wants a clean room when he's checking into your hotel. That's implied, that's evident. So it's not expressed, it's obvious. So as you see this line across the Kano model, if the feature is present, if the feature is fully functional, it does not help you satisfy your customer. What it does is, it helps you ensure your customer is not dissatisfied. So this feature, the must-be requirements, when absent from a product, would ensure that a customer is not happy, would ensure your customer is going to look out for an alternative, is going to ensure that the customer is going to switch to the competition. But having this feature in your product is not going to win you brownie points, because this is, as per the customer, an obvious and implied feature that has to be present in your product. So now this lets you determine how much are you going to pay and invest in improving these features, because these must-be requirements would have a level where if you achieve that level, you are addressing your customer requirements. Developing that feature anymore would only return higher operating expenses without any improvement in the customer satisfaction and the customer loyalty. Now, coming to the one-dimensional requirements. This is the performance need, the desired quality. A customer articulates that. When you talk to a customer that what is that you need in my product, these are the needs that he would mention. These are the needs that he would express. These are measurable. These are the technical qualities. Talk about the mileage. Talk about the cleanliness. Talk about the taste. These are one-dimensional needs. So as you would see, as and when you improve these one-dimensional needs, it helps you improve the level of your customer's satisfaction. And when this is not present, or when you lack the level of functionality compared to your competition, compared to what your customer is used to, the customer is not happy. He is dissatisfied. So must-be requirements and one-dimensional requirements are primarily what you really need to have: one, to stay in the market, and two, to be competitive, to ensure that a customer stays with you. But what really helps you win those brownie points? What really helps you customers talking about your product in a good way on a Twitter or on Facebook or on Google+? What makes them recommend your product? What makes them recommend your company are the attractive requirements, what we call the delighters. These requirements are not expressed. The customer does not really want these features when he walks into your store or when he walks into your company. These are the surprise features, the exciting features that you would offer your customers. I spoke about the welcome complimentary drink. That's an exciting need. When the customer walks into the hotel room, he is not expecting a complimentary drink or a hot chocolate cookie freshly baked. When you offer that, that becomes a surprise for the customer, and the customer is delighted. He would talk about that, and that helps you excel in your field. That helps you go one notch above your competition. So how you address these three broad needs of the customer, to what level do you have to develop this, would depend upon what your customers say, and how would you listen to your customer. How do you understand which of your customer requirements fall in one of these categories, or where do you really stand when it comes to measuring your performance against the competition. So this is the snapshot. Now we'll come to see how do we categorize customer requirements and voice of customer into one of these three boxes. So first, let's talk about the one-dimensional requirements. As I already explained, with regards to one-dimensional requirements, customer satisfaction is proportional to the level of fulfillment. As and when you improve the feature, as and when you excel in that feature, the customer satisfaction would increase. And if that feature is removed, or if the fulfillment level or the degree of achievement reduces, the customer starts getting unhappy. He starts getting dissatisfied. So the higher the level of fulfillment, the higher the customer satisfaction, and vice versa. One-dimensional requirements are usually explicitly demanded by the customer. These are the features that a customer is looking for. He may not talk about the must-be requirements. He may not talk about the exciting features because he does not know that you are going to surprise him by something innovative, by something wow. But this is what the customer will talk about, and this is what he will measure your performance upon. The must-be requirements. If not fulfilled, the customer will be extremely dissatisfied, because this is what your product must have to even be catering to a customer segment. You cannot survive, you cannot even be in the market without addressing the must-be requirements. Again, a clean room, a good taste has to be there if you want to be in a hotel. On the other hand, as a customer takes these requirements for granted, their fulfillment will not increase his satisfaction. Just because you have a clean room doesn't mean your customer is going to recommend you, because cleanliness is self-implied. It's obvious. He's not going to measure you upon the cleanliness feature. So these are the basic criteria for a product or service, and fulfilling these will only lead to a state of not dissatisfied. That's what must-be requirements do. They only make you ensure that your customer is not dissatisfied. These do not help you increase the levels of satisfaction. The customer regards these as prerequisites, obvious, and does not explicitly demand them. He would not mention these in a survey. He would not mention these in a feedback form because he expects to have these. But when these are not present, you can be assured of some negative feedback and some negative ratings on every survey form. If not fulfilled, the customer will not be interested in the product or service. He would start looking out. He would move to an alternative. He would move to the competition and would abandon your product, would abandon your company. So you've got to fulfill these requirements even though they do not guarantee higher levels of satisfaction. But these are important for you to stay in the market and to cater to your customer segment. Now, the attractive requirements that create a wow experience for your customer. These requirements are the product criteria which have the greatest influence on how satisfied a customer will be with a given product or service, because these are features which the customer did not expect. These are features that will make him happy. These are features that will let him feel that the amount, the price that he has paid for the product is worth the product. This would make him feel that you stand apart from the competition. These demands are neither expressed nor expected by the customer. That's why we call it surprising features, delighting features. Fulfilling these requirements leads to more than a proportional satisfaction. This could help you increase the satisfaction levels multiple times compared to the performance needs, or to what we call the one-dimensional features. If not fulfilled, there is no feeling of dissatisfaction because the customer did not expect these features. But suppose your competition introduced a wow factor. Your competition introduced a surprising feature in his product, in his service, say a couple of months ago, and the customer has got used to it. Maybe he's heard of it from some of his friends, from relatives, from internet surveys and product reviews. So now he starts expecting. So you've got to be watchful. You've got to be seeing that what is your customer experiencing outside your purview. And those exciting features, whether you introduce it or somebody else does, slowly and gradually would become a must-be requirement.